What's going on, everybody? Noah Alvarez here with Locker Room Sports, and today we're going to be breaking down Akeem Davis-Gaither out of Appalachian State, 6'1", 224 pounds. A lot of talented linebackers in this year's draft class. I think Gaither, though, really stands out because of how versatile he is. And honestly, I think depending on what scheme and team he goes to, he could be, man, such a talented NFL player. Here he is. I think one of his best attributes is rushing the passer. Here he is from that 3-4 outside linebacker position. He heads up the field before he stunts in. Too many times do you see a defensive end or outside linebacker, an edge rusher on a stunt, just loop in right away. Here he is now with the simple speed rush, stops on a dime, and that tackle is just straight up not athletic enough. Weird to see a lefty quarterback too, but it's Middle Tennessee, so it's on the blind side. Does a nice job of finishing too with his teammate coming from the strong side. Really nice job there by Davis-Gaither. Like I said, one of his strengths. Here he is, bottom of the stream. Look at that, just natural bend. I mean, I froze it for you guys to see that. That's not something you can teach. That's a natural trait, and that's why I think Davis-Gaither is going to have success in the NFL, and coaches are just going to be so intrigued by him and his athleticism because you can't teach bend. No matter how good of a tackle that is, if you're able to do that, lower your shoulder and that front side, tackles just can't get to that. He also has a nice set of counter moves too. He used that inside cross chop against the tackle because he widens out, worried about his speed, and he does a nice job to finish the quarterback with the sack too. Again, undersized dude, 6'1", 224 pounds, but he's athletic, has a high motor, and he plays with a lot of tenacity. I like what I've seen from Akeem Davis-Gaither. Here he is at the top of the screen again. This time he doesn't get to the quarterback, but he has the awareness to put his hands up, deflect the ball. Nice job there. Again, it's a looping route. Not a looping route, but it's a looping stunt from the outside. And again, it's important that you head up the field before you loop in, or else it's very easy for the tackle and the guard to communicate on that stunt. Here he is at the bottom of the screen. But there are some times where I do see him just either he doesn't have a plan, he goes in without a plan, or if the speed rush doesn't work, like on that last play, he just kind of runs into no man's land. Here he is playing patty cake with the tackle. It doesn't happen a whole lot, but I think it will happen in the NFL against some bigger and better offensive tackles. So I do want to see him clean up and have a plan when he rushes the passer. Here he is again, this time on a stunt, but the guard reads it well. I think he didn't go upfield hard enough on that one take to really sell the offensive line. Now, here he is getting pushed back a few yards, but he learns from it. Here he is now, goes over the tackle to make this play on a 2nd and 1. The very next play, instead of taking this guard head on because he's only 6'1", 220 pounds, he knows he can't stand stout and stand his ground. Here he does it again. That's freakish athleticism, guys. Watch this slow-mo. He bends underneath the offensive tackle, very similar to how he has that bend when he comes across the edge, and I froze frame it for you. He's not that guy that, hey, I'm going to take on this pulling guard, I'm going to take on this pulling tackle and stand my ground. He's not that big. He knows his strengths. He knows he's athletic enough to bend around or bend inside of those pulling guards, pulling tight ends. Here he does it again, South Carolina there. I mean, that's just such a nice freeze frame right there. Just superior athleticism. I know we call Brian Burns Spider-Man, but we should be reconsidering and giving that nickname to Akeem Davis-Gaither because of how freakishly athletic and bendy he is coming across the edge. Now here he is again, doing it on the bottom of the screen. Again, two pullers coming away. One's a guard, one's an H-back or a tight end or whatever you want to call it. And he just ducks underneath the first guy and makes that play, tackle for a loss, and really just disrupt that whole thing. Now he also plays off the ball a lot too. I mean, Appalachian State did a few things with him. Here, just a straight bull rush. The running back, he knew he could use his strength there. Not very creative, but it gets the job done. Here he is on the speed option, and I really like his technique here because in high school, our coach taught us to do the sweat technique. You want to play in between the quarterback and the pitch man. Make the quarterback think about who you're going to take to. He also has the luxury of the defensive end chasing down the quarterback right there. So he waits till it's pitched, and then he reacts to the pitch. Pretty much stops him for no gain. He has help from his corner teammate too. Poor blocking by the receiver out on the edge. Here he is again, off ball, beats the lineman to the spot, to the block, and he just runs right through him, tackles the running back, and makes a disruptive play for a loss. Like I said, he's not the guy that he's going to stand his ground on pulling guards and pulling tackles, but you don't need that to him. He makes very explosive plays by being superior athletic. Now, linebackers, you want to see them have good sideline to sideline speed. Here he is. This catch is made 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He doesn't make this tackle until about 7 yards down the field. a little bit of concern. You don't see it a whole lot, but his open field tackling is something that does bother me. Here he is, just comes in very prepared, very high, doesn't chop his feet, and the running back here for UAB just ducks right underneath him. And in that same game, it happens one more time. This time he's running out on the edge on a quicker receiver. On this play, you want to see him closer to the hip because when you're running down a ball carrier like that, it's easier for them to stop on a dime, cut against the grain, and change direction than it is to outrun you towards the sideline. There's less space over there. So attack that inside hip, force him to go out. And if he's faster than you, well, then, you just tip your hat to that him. Here he is on the edge again against Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. I love that nickname. He just fights through a run blocking tackle right there and makes a tackle for a loss in the backfield. So if you had a question about his run, his defending the run ability, he does a nice job of ripping through. Here he is on the top of the screen. I think this play, I don't know what his exact duty was, but I think it shows that he could be a very good spy for athletic quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, etc., etc. And then here is this play here on the bottom of the screen. Check this one out. He just rips through the inside of that H-back trying to make the block and makes a solid play on the this play went away from him on the complete opposite side of the offensive line, yet he's able to rip through. And on this play, this one's really impressive too because he goes head up with the tight end, and you think that he's going to jump to the outside, but he has nice vision there. It looks like he opens up that hole, entices the running backs to come back into his hole, and then he's able to throw himself back into the inside, make that tackle for a very minimal gain. Here he is, right where the G and the U meet in midfield, playing off ball, and this is just mano a mano. Me versus the running back. He wins that battle with some nice wrap-up tackle. Here he is again, beating the block on a sort of sweep /bubble. It's a sweep play. Beats the block from the slot receiver, makes a big tackle for loss, and he has that nice explosive speed. He what is it? detects. He detects. I lost my words right there. He detects really well on screen plays. This one, I think he was just caught in between trying to make a play on the ball and making the tackle, but he does stop him for a minimal gain. Not a whole lot of film on him in coverage dropping back like this, but he does a nice job here against North Carolina. Understands that the quarterback's reading that middle dig route or that middle route over the middle. So that middle route over the middle, you know what I mean. Akeem Davis-Gaither, get to know this man's name though. I think he's very specific. Honestly, I'm going to compare him to a poor man's Isaiah Simmons, also in this year's draft class. He's not as athletic as Simmons. He's not going to be able to play in the corner or in the nickel or in the slot or safety. But I think Davis-Gaither, depending on where team he goes to, preferably a 3-4 team like the Steelers, the Bengals, the Patriots, Tennessee Titans, scheme diverse teams with primarily run a 3-4, I think Davis-Gaither is going to have a lot of success. This was Noah Alvarez breaking down Akeem Davis-Gaither for Locker Room Sports. Thanks for tuning in.